On the channel over the last few weeks, I've been saying that I think we are now seeing crypto entering into an accumulation zone. Many people are saying that the top of the market is in and that Bitcoin's going to 30K or 20K and whatever they may say, but I've pretty much stood by the principle and the thought that summer times are boring, summer times are ugly, that's just what happens, and now we're towards the better half of summer, which could mean that this is a good accumulation zone. And in today's video, I want to give you a little bit more information and a couple more things that I'm looking at that are further giving me confidence in the thesis that crypto is now in a buy zone. This is now time to start accumulating, and we're really going to be basing a lot of that information off of what we are seeing from Bitcoin today. And so with that said, let's not waste any more time at all. Let me show you a few more pieces of information that give me, again, further confirmation of that buy zone thesis. So what we're going to take a look at majoritively today is the daily charts on Bitcoin, and we're going to be looking at the RSI, and we're going to be looking at our Bollinger Bands. Now, starting with the RSI, let's just take a look at where we are here, okay? Let's just take a look at where we are. We saw for the first time over the last, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, Bitcoin's daily RSI reached below the 30% threshold. Now, matter of fact, this was the first time that Bitcoin had seen its daily RSI fall below the 30% threshold since August 20th of 2023. And I don't know if you remember what happened back then, but that pretty much marked the last pullback before that absolute rip to the upside. Now, before that, the last time that we saw that level was whenever we saw it fall to 19,000 before ripping all the way up to 30,000+. And the time before that was the very bottom of the bear market. And so clearly in situations and instances like this, whenever we're seeing the daily RSI reaching levels that have historically marked not necessarily the bottoms, but accumulation zones before massive moves to the upside, I definitely think that it's worth noting. Now, on top of that, another couple things that I think are worth noting and worth mentioning is the fact that we are seeing this thing sit here for a little while. Now, generally speaking, when the longer you will sit at the lower ends of an RSI, right, the bottom side of an RSI, the longer your bulls are being given time to relax, right? The bears are sure they're getting exhausted, but the bulls aren't being forced to step in quite yet. We're letting them relax and sit and kind of marinate. I don't know if that sounds weird, but we're kind of letting them marinate. And generally speaking, in these moments where you sit here a little bit longer, those rips to the upside can get much, much, much more substantial. A good example of this is, like I said, what we saw back here, right? We saw what happened. Boom. We fell below the 30. Then we sat here for a little while and we kind of just cooked and we cooked and we cooked. And we saw those bulls just kind of sitting and relaxing, barely applying pressure. And then bam, now we ripped to the upside. And this again marked the bottom of the bear market back then. And so because of that, of course, the fact that we're seeing this on the daily RSI now, it does give me a lot of confidence, because realistically, with everyone saying that this is, just the beginning of the pullback and we're going to start falling, I'm still under the belief that we easily could see Bitcoin start to work its way back to the upside at some given point over the next few months, maybe even continuing this bull market, continuing up towards $75,000, $80,000 at some point this year. And this could mark as one of the most important zones to be accumulating if you are looking to buy anytime soon. So that's definitely interesting. Now, like I mentioned before, July and August are always boring and they're always bad. So we could see it continue lower. And that just means that we're going to get deeper and deeper, and the door of opportunity up to the upside is going to get bigger and bigger. And so because of that, again, I still do believe we're in an accumulation zone now. And this RSI on the daily charts is further confirming that. Now, on top of that, what I want to pay attention to is what's happening here on the Bollinger Bands. Now, if you don't know what the Bollinger Bands are, they're basically just the easiest way. No, I don't want to do that. The easiest way to look at these things as just key indicators or markers of overextensions to the upside or the downside. That's like the easiest way I can explain it, I think, because it's actually based off of two standard deviations from a moving average. What that means is that, in a more complicated version of this, is that generally speaking, cryptos are going to revolve around their 20-day moving average. That's just normally what they're going to do. If they're above it, they're likely going to come down to it. If they're below it, they're likely going to go back up to it. They're moving averages, of course, right? It's an average. And so what we have is something called the Bollinger Bands, which represent two standard deviations away from that moving average. Generally meaning that in the world of crypto, a crypto will only go about two standard deviations away from that moving average before returning to it. And so in situations and instances in which you're at those Bollinger Band levels, to the upside or to the downside, you know that you're not going to stay there very long before you go back to that moving average. Okay, that's like what the Bollinger Band is, okay? So with that in mind, and kind of knowing that, what I like to pay attention to are those moments in which we see Okay, Bitcoin's price sitting towards the bottom side of your Bollinger Band envelope. Remember, the bottom of the Bollinger Band envelope represents when you're getting somewhat quote unquote overextended to the downside, and it becomes much more likely that you're going to start resorting back to the upside at some given point soon. And in these moments in which we're seeing Bitcoin specifically hitting the bottom side of this Bollinger Band envelope consistently, we usually will see some type of push back to the upside soon thereafter. You can look to see what happened back here, right? Boom. We saw Bitcoin's price sitting within the bottom side of this Bollinger Band envelope before we saw this move to the upside. We saw it sitting towards the bottom side of the Bollinger Band envelope right here before the move to the upside. We saw it sitting towards the bottom of the Bollinger Band envelope right here, and of course a little bit right here before we saw this move to the upside. Again, we saw it back here, boom, before this move to the upside. It's rather consistent. And in these moments in which we're sitting towards the bottom side, you can kind of start to anticipate that we are going to try to get some move to the upside because it's been so overextended to the downside. And so guys, when you pair these two things together, the fact that our RSI itself is so overextended to the bottom side at historical levels, the fact that our Bollinger Band envelope is extended to the bottom side, it's just giving us sign after sign after sign that we could be seeing Bitcoin's price start to bottom out either now or rather soon. And either one of those being the case, I think now is a good time to start accumulating, and that's exactly what I'm doing. And so I just wanted to give you that update and let you guys know a little bit more as to why I am thinking that this is a good time, when a lot of the crowd and a lot of people in crypto think that this isn't a good time to be buying. They think that we could be going further. We could be going to 30K, 35K, 40K. And although that may be the case, I'm willing to take a bet that we could start to see this thing bounce sometime soon over the next couple of weeks here as we do get towards the better half of summer. And so with that in mind, guys, I hope you guys enjoy whenever I'm just able to come on the channel and not necessarily try to push one direction or another, but more just give you general information and data that you can go back test yourself to create your own thesis. I hope you guys do enjoy that type of content. I try not to be a Shelly Moon boy all the time, and so of course just let me know what you think about that down below. But overall, that's about it for today. Of course, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, you can always let me know by smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel if you are new, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.